Jamie Cudmore tackled me in the Claremont game over there, and took me a while to recover from it. He tackled me with his fist as well, but when he wasn't using his fist, he was good with his shoulders.
Joe presents House of Rugby, together with Bank of Ireland, proud supporter of the 4 Irish provinces.
Hello and welcome along to House of Rugby. I'm Greg O'Shea and we're here together with Bank of Ireland, and the dream team's back together, the OGs, Lindsay, Pete and Jason, all the way up from Limerick. Pat's in the corner, but don't worry about him.
Yeah, Pat's there.
How are we getting on, ladies and gentlemen?
Do you know what? I am buzzing. I feel this is going to be a saucy, exciting show now. I can feel it simmering between you two now. I'm just waiting until we get on to Munster.
Well, exactly, yeah. Like, massive win for Munster at the weekend, wasn't it, Jason?
Yeah, a big
Let's
win.
just put that straight out there, like.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, to be honest with you. I thought they had a chance. Like, I always knew, like, when we got Glasgow, like that, there was much more of a chance than going over to one of the South African teams or facing Leinster at a quarter final or something like that.
Or now a semi.
Yeah, no, good
So
result.
a few happy
Good
boys
result.
here, yes. But we will get into that later in the episode. We have a lot to talk about. We also have a chat from Johnny Sexton and Paul O'Connell separately that Jason got when you were down at the International Rugby Experience in Limerick the other day. Did you get to go to their manor or anything like that?
No, I wasn't there. I was talking to Brian Abana and his wife and stuff, and they were out staying there. They're over for a few days, but incredible experience, I have to say. So I was down there last year. I was brought on a private tour by the CEO, and he brought me around and showed me like all their plans, and they're quite ambitious, the plans. And I'm like, you know, is this really going to come together? And then to see it, as it was basically cement there last year, and then come out, it was just, as I said, it's not your typical museum, hence why it's called the International Rugby Experience.
Yeah.
This is the same crowd that did the Titanic Experience up in Dublin, or in Belfast.
Oh, really?
So it's all very interactive. Like, you know, there's passing drills, there's scrummaging, there's jumping.
Saw it on your Instagram, man. You need to work on your passing skills.
Hey, look, give me a break, right? Look, I was wearing it was the skinny cut jeans, you know, I couldn't get the movement, I couldn't get the full motion.
Sorry,
Listen, I thought you did all right, to be honest. Did you not get top score?
It was better than Johnny Sexton's pass, so I think I beat Johnny in one of them. But
I'll just slip that in there.
Even like the list of talent, like to go down there, like kind of walking around. So it was just all press. It was a press launch. We were brought around, but we of course were given a very special, exclusive area, being Joe and all that. Like, you
lovely.
know, set up a lovely little area. But like, so I spoke with Johnny Sexton, Paul O'Connell, Jeremy Guscott, Kieran Griffin, Joy Neville, Brian Abana, Sean Fitzpatrick, Matt Dawson, Martin Johnson. Martin Johnson actually is one of the only people out of all of them. Sorry, Keith Wood was there. The list goes on. Martin Johnson is the only person that I didn't pull aside and talk to, because he's the scariest, most terrifying man I've ever met in my entire life.
He just has
He's about 7'9". First of all, he just stands around. He's always angry. He did no media. He was the only person who did nothing. It's like, we were talking to the girls, the press girls there, and like, can we talk to? He's like, I don't really want to ask him. Do you want to ask him? He's like, no, I'm not asking him either. I was like, yeah, I don't want to do anything. That's fine. See you later.
He just has a resting bitch face like Martin Johnson. Doesn't he?
I did not realise, like, I mean, you see Paul O'Connell. Paul O'Connell is not a small man.
No.
Like, he's much bigger than O'Connell. Just the height of him. He's just...
Yeah, because in the photo, like, you can see the two of them, and like O'Connell's like head and shoulders, and then you kind of just like ding, 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 and there's Martin Johnson. I'm like, oh God, you were in the back just looking at everyone.
I've never seen him like, he's just such an imposing figure. You know, he doesn't have to say anything. He just has to look at you, and you're like, sorry.
Well, he did captain England for a Rugby World Cup win. I think he captained the Lions. Like, he coached England. He's done it all. Like, you can probably see why.
Yeah.
Was it a good experience though? Like,
it is. I highly recommend going to, like, and me being like, you know how much I love Limerick. I'm born in Limerick. I live in Limerick. I'm one of the few people that haven't, you know, run off up to Dublin. Like, you know, I stuck with Limerick. Limerick has gone through, especially the last few years. I think off the back of the recession, like the last, we'll say, 15 years in Limerick. It struggled big time. A lot of shops closed down, a lot of businesses, so particularly in the city centre. So like you have kind of like your Crescent shopping centres and your Castle Troys, which are doing fine, but the city centre is really failing.
Yeah.
And to have such an iconic landmark building come into the city, they're hoping to attract 100,000 visitors in the first year. It really bring up the road works nearly been done on O'Connell Street.
Lovely.
It's you know yourself.
It's
Limerick
on
is a
O'Connell
lovely
Street,
city.
is it?
It's right smack in the middle of O'Connell Street, straight
Nice.
across from AIB Bank. So like, you know yourself, when Limerick is up and thriving, like I was out in the Limerick Run was on the Sunday, so they picked a really good weekend to launch it. That was on the Sunday. The sun was splitting the rocks. There was thousands of people. Riverfest was on. When Limerick has stuff going on, when there's stuff there, people will come out. And it's, as you know, it's a beautiful city.
it looked amazing.
You know, it's great to see, and I'm hoping it'll attract people into the city and people from other counties and other countries to come and see this experience.
Exactly. Well, they come along, go to Match in Thomond Park, and then just pop over to the International Rugby
It's a 10-minute
Experience.
walk from Thomond
Honestly, you can stroll it.
You won't be allowed in though with your Dublin tan, so I'll go down. So we'll go down. Limerick, Yeah, go on. Rest
I
it.
was
Are you doing
gonna
your Martin
come at
Johnson
you.
face to me? Are you doing your Martin Johnson face to me?
I was
Do that
gonna come
again.
at
Do
you,
your
but
Martin
I don't
Johnson
want to make
face
you
there.
cry this early on in the week. But
Oh, they're big words. Now, speaking of big words, I'm surprised of all the media you didn't go and just bite the bullet to interview Martin Johnson.
No, I
Like
was
that would have been
terrified.
on your CV then.
No, he's too big, too strong. No, he's too scary. I was frightened. I was actually, for the first time, I was actually frightened. I was like, no, this guy's going to just kill me in your life. So
I think he should come on the show.
and come here to me, tell me this, Jason. Was there any like memorabilia there, or was it just like interactive
there's
experience?
just when he first come up the first one, there's a kind of a cool story there with Thierry Dusautoir, jiu-jitsu or something. He played first, and there's stuff there from him. There's loads of jerseys and stuff around. So there's loads of memorabilia there. Then there's a floor of interactive experience, and then there's kind of every floor is kind of different.
Class.
And like once you do a kind of cool thing, it's just especially for kids, if you're going over on like school tours and stuff. When you go around and you do all the activities, at the end then it tells you what position you should play as a rugby player.
No way.
So yeah, so it's kind of cool. So
What
you go
you
off
get?
and you do the pass.
Tight
and
head
you
or
kick 'em.
something?
You listen to this, Pat, like the abuse I'm getting here. Tight head. So,
This boy is
here,
brave this morning.
I'd be better than most of the tight heads at Munster at the moment, in fairness, I say.
Loose. Those Munster lads are into a semi-final of the URC. You take that back, young sir.
Sorry.
Yeah, but you know what's going to be on these hands? Your arse.
Oh, I don't know now.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Well, anyway, I want to get down to international rugby experience. I was gutted I couldn't go. I had the invite, but I couldn't turn up. Felt very left out.
We'll get you
I had a
down.
lot of FOMO.
We'll get you down.
But I will get down there.
At least you got invited. Me and Pat had to sit here, where was checking our emails.
Yeah.
I'm
But it's
sure like,
definitely...
there's a red carpet and all just to come in the way, so we'll get that rolled out.
Thanks,
Phone
bud.
calling,
I appreciate that,
Yeah.
Limerick coming down.
We'll come down as fangirling.
Don't worry about it. Gotcha.
Actually, I think it's a private just for him. We're
Yeah.
just going to close it down.
Yeah, that's fine. Of course.
Champagne.
Thanks, guys. Well, I wish it was for my Stellar Sevens career, but it's not. It's just because of the Love Island stuff. And I'll call a spade a spade. But
No.
I'll take it.
Why wouldn't you? You're crazy not to. Take what you can get.
Anyways, you got chatting to Johnny Sexton and Paul O'Connell down there, and we're going to hear those interviews in a little while. But we want to talk about one of the derbies that was on in the weekend, Ulster versus Connacht, up in Kingspan Stadium. Lads, Ulster effed it up. We were on this podcast last week saying it's a foregone conclusion. Ulster are going to win. They're in flying form. They're second in the table. They've all their players playing, and they just didn't show up.
No, they were so out of character.
Yeah.
And there was a nice stat actually over the weekend. It's the Connacht hadn't beaten Ulster at home since 1960. They've only done it 3 times, and it's all been under McFarlane. So
You're joking.
yeah.
Wow.
Hopefully I've got that stat right, but as far as I know, they
It's
rarely
something
go
like
to
that, yeah.
Kingspan and win. And you could see it in their faces. Jack Carthy was crying after the interview. Of a lot of Connacht friends. Big shout out to you. They were absolutely delighted because I think they were just written off. And they knew themselves because it's a tough place to go to. I mean, very few teams. Ulster was second seed. We're kind of missing that part as well. And they'd set themselves up for a home semi-final. So unless they just disrespectfully showed up, but they were so out of character.
They just weren't ready. Something must happen in their prep just to not have them set. Their training week or something. I don't know. But they were at home. There's no excuses for that. They just didn't turn up. They had all their boys playing. And did you see at the end, Bundy Key and all the lads cheering to the crowd? Did you see
Bundy
that?
was getting abuse, and I think he was go to sleep or something. I don't know what
He was
he
waving,
was
go to
he was
sleep.
He's
yeah.
got a precedent for that. In fairness, Bundy loves getting rallied up before and after games.
He was getting stuck into the crowd. Mac Hansen was even shouting at the crowd.
Did you see Mac's head?
Man, what a knock!
I
on
was
his
like,
head. Did you see that?
I think that's your skull. It was.
You could see into the bone of his skull, and then he strapped up and he played on. Then, what a beast!
Yeah.
Built different, that fella.
Sweet button chops as well. Gotta give
He
him
looks
that.
great.
They're pretty sweet.
Yeah, he does. He looked like Wolverine, to be honest. And then with the gash, I was like, pity it's not Halloween, boy.
Yeah, he's just such a good crack. He's playing at the top level of rugby and just messing around with his hair and beards the whole time. We need more Mac Hansens in this world.
Don't we?
Bit
We
more
do.
personality and spice. It's great to see. Well done, Connacht. We're delighted for you. It was an all right game. Ulster
wasn't
didn't show
really.
up, and then it was just Jack Carty's boot. Just kept kicking the penalties, which was amazing. Good to see him in form, kicking well. He was really confident. They had Bundy Key back playing, who obviously was a pivotal position in the centre there, holding it all together. Do you think people having Mac and Bundy back is what makes the difference for that Connacht team?
I think maybe it helps them, but I think it probably in this instant, because it was knockout rugby, yes, to have that experience just to galvanise the belief. But I mean, they were excuse the expression, balls out. I mean, they were tackling like their life depended on it. Really, Bundy and Mac were probably quiet by their own standards. It was kind of just a dogged game, 2 heavyweights just third, end of rounds of boxing, just like trying to knock lumps out of each other. But it wasn't an exciting game, but that's just knockout rugby at times. Like Keane Brenegast was nice. He was nice at 8, like his kick through. Like there's some good players there.
Yeah.
And I think it's the story of Connacht. Let's be honest, they botched, like they had a tap penalty and which they knocked on. Farrell botched another pass that he should have given to, was it
Caelan Blade.
Blade. So it's just those little moments could have come back to bite them in the arse. And I think if they're going to do anything in South Africa now this week coming, they're not going to get away with
They
that
can't
stuff.
afford to be missing those opportunities. They could have had the game written off by half time.
100%.
With all the opportunities they had, and their defence was top. Like, I love the mindset they had. People like Keane Prendergast, who you mentioned there at number 8, he was phenomenal. It just seems like he's even more comfortable at 8, kicking through, chasing it, and tackling one of the fastest, and not the fastest guy in Irish rugby, Robert Balakoon. So agile. That guy is honestly, he's just so slippery. I used to train with him, and he's so hard to get. And I was like, there's no way Keane Prendergast is getting him here, and he just claws him down.
Yeah.
So what a player. Conor Oliver is another one, and the guy you mentioned, Seamus
Hurley Langton.
Langton.
That's one of the most complete performances from a 6 I've seen in a long time. That guy
He was unbelievable.
is an absolute monster, and he was everywhere. I put my hand up. I haven't heard much about him before, because I remember talking to some of the lads while we were watching the match. The first thing we said, like, is, who is that 6? And this was like 5-10 minutes in. Like, who is that 6? And everyone's like, that 6. That's, oh my God, that 6. He was phenomenal. Deservedly getting
He
player
got
of
man
the
of the
match.
match.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was
Deservedly getting player of the
He
match.
was just a pest, like, just all over the scrum, making turnovers. We were saying he came from New Zealand last year. Whereabouts in New Zealand, Pat?
Did you say Mikado or
He
something?
was like Taranaki.
Taranaki.
He was Hurricanes training squad, but they just snapped him up,
Hurricanes training squad, and then Connacht brought him up, but he's not Irish qualified.
No.
Connacht are brilliant at doing that. I must say, I'd love to know, like, who's involved in Connacht's recruitment, because they love finding these little pearlers down in New Zealand or Australia or something. And
Yeah, but
you
I
know,
don't know if-
look at Mac Hansen, for example. Like, you know what I mean? They're finding these guys, and they've done it a few times. Like, even you look at someone like, they brought Pete Aki over. Pete Aki now has been starting non-stop for Toulouse for the last 3 or 4 seasons. Connacht had him for a season, first of all, and no one heard of him. And now he's like, starting one of the best teams in Europe, and he's a regular player, one of their key players for Toulouse. And they've done that. We can list out the players. There's a amount of players Connacht have brought over the last 5 years. Whatever doing recruitment.
Yeah, they have a great recruitment team, great scouting. Well, Andy Friend he was based in Southern Hemisphere for how many years, so he obviously has a lot of friends in different places. I don't know if I tend to agree with bringing these guys up that aren't qualified, though. They're filling a spot that an Irish guy could fill. Do you know what I mean? What do you think, Lindsay? If he's Irish qualified, has it like an Irish granny grant, but he's just filling a spot that could be filled by an Irish guy.
No, 100%. And who was interviewed over the weekend for Terenure? De Burke?
Yeah.
Did I get that name? And he did say, like, there's a lot of great guys in the AIL that are being overlooked. Now, I don't know who he was having a dig at. We'll go into that later in the show. But, like, I do agree with you Connacht are a province that could do with, like, guys who might make it at other provinces and come over and let them reignite their career. Plus, maybe people who've just gone off the boil who need to get back into Ireland, get them over there. So I do agree. But then if you've like a Bundy and Mac Hansen that help galvanise and bring experience, it kind of adds to training squads. So there's kind of two sides to the argument. But I think as much as we can possible, keep stuck in with our Irish guys.
As well, isn't it? Because of the fact that you have to remember, as Connacht are the smallest province, but they've got the smallest amount of clubs, it's kind of smallest population.
Yes.
It is trickier for them to get players. Like, Munster are struggling to get players, and Munster would have much more big, senior, high profile AIL clubs getting guys to come through the ranks. Or for Connacht, like, they don't have they wouldn't have a presence in the AIL like with the Connacht teams and stuff, and they kind of have to, compared to the Ulsters and the Leinster. Leinster are just offloading players. They're so bloody big.
But I don't.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That it is. I can understand for Connacht, because they've always been doing that. They've been doing it for a long time. But I do appreciate what you're saying as well. There's
so many good guys sitting in the AIL. Like, your man Boomer that came on yesterday for Terenure, he had an assist where he sprinted off the side of the scrum and got away from Alex Soroka. Popped it off. Terenure scored a try. He scored his own try then after that, and I was like,
"Oh, he was exceptional."
No, these kind of guys that just give him an opportunity.
Who's the Clontarf centre? Matt, what's his name? He was at Munster for a while.
Matt Darcy.
There's another guy that could
another incredible player.
Got into Munster for a while. They just never really gave him a chance. And
So I'm going to be devil's advocate here, right? Like, so we're in pro rugby, so it has to be marketable as well. So that's no offence to the guys who are AIL and really good athletes and rugby players. But if you're looking at the likes of now, you're going into Champions Cup and even Challenge Cup now where you're playing your big European teams, you have to have some draw. And it's not to say that Connacht don't have a draw, but you've hit the nail on the head. They still are a smaller province. Yeah. You are in the west of Ireland. Like, that has to be a standard of life. That's obviously suited Mac. Look at him. He's expressing himself. Yeah. But, like, you have to tip, I would assume, and I'm open for correction on this, but I assume you have to tip the balance of what is a marketable product as well as being
You have to
successful
like the rain,
on it.
first of all.
Yeah.
You have to have a lot like that. You
Jesus
have
Christ,
to
how
love
many
the rain.
times?
You have to love it.
No, you're trying to market a product to get players over, or to
Just as a club, I would think, and as
Yeah,
the sport and
Bring in revenue.
finances and revenue. Yeah, I would think
like you're
so.
thinking bring these marquee players from New Zealand up just to sell tickets.
That could be an issue. I'm not saying against the argument, but surely when we have so many, and we saw at the AIL yesterday, like there was some great scores, like there was high scoring, it was exciting, like there was great crowds. I was driving by the Aviva yesterday, so I'm not undermining club rugby. We've all come from there, and we need to invest back into it. We need to love it a lot more than it has been.
Yeah.
But I'm saying for the likes of maybe Connacht, I think it's not as black as white as just like getting players over. They have to
Yeah,
be
I
a bit
don't know. I
more.
think you can like there'd be young fellas sitting in Ireland that would like take a contract for 20 grand, to take a development contract just to play
100%.
professional rugby rather than your man Seamus Langan isn't coming up for 20 grand. Like, do you know what I mean?
No.
He's coming up for a big.
Oh, he's coming on for. He's probably on 100k. Like.
Yeah, well, in and around there, whatever it is.
100K?
Like,
What we I think what
Well,
we what,
the
what
bones
we
of it,
need
probably not
is
100, but,
like
you know.
over New Zealand has worked for them is their Mitre 10 Cup system is that they brought that competition up to a level where they're like it isn't like climbing a stairs to go into Super Rugby, like it's just another leap up. But what they can do is it doesn't happen over here. So you know yourself, you've been in academies and stuff at Munster, and guys that come in at 17, 18, if they don't make it by 20 and they go to the AL, there's no coming back from that. Like you're off into the twilight zone. That's the end of it.
done,
But
yeah.
over in like New Zealand, you could be with the Chiefs 1 year, come up, things don't quite work out for you. You go off now and you go play Mitre 10 Cup for 2 seasons. And you can get brought back up into Super Rugby at 23, 24.
Sure, Damien McKenzie did it.
They've done it,
When he
that's
got
it.
injured,
And they
yeah.
do that regularly. We
Yeah,
don't do
the
that up here.
the
It's like,
Barretts have
once you're
done it.
gone, you're gone.
Sonny
That's
Bill
it.
did it. Yeah, everyone. Yeah,
They'll
they do
do
it.
it. So
Yeah.
And there should be that system here because and whether that's an all-star team from the IAL paying a provincial team to get scouted, absolutely. So there has to be ways to make it to get guys back into
I think it
professional
needs to
rugby.
be more, fluid movement. You drop
100%.
down to your club, you come back in. Well, like I suppose Alex Soroka was playing, and he's in Leinster, and he dropped it down to play with Clontarf. So there's
So
bits and
was
pieces of
Brian
it, but
Deacon.
Brian Deeney, yeah.
Britt Deeney, sorry, was on the bench.
So obviously that's easier to do when the lads are already sitting in Dublin. But like,
you need to bridge the gap, though.
Yeah,
Simple as that. Like,
you
and
do.
That's the only way you can do it because that's what we're missing over here is
100%,
bridging that gap. And
the another one is the captain of Terenure, Harrison Brewer. He was in the Leinster Academy all the way up. Incredible player. Then went over to Japan, was playing in Japan for 2 seasons. His father, something Brewer, he like coached. He played for New Zealand, I think. He won a World Cup in New Zealand. And he's an incredible player, playing in the back row for Terenure, captain. And he's no sniff of playing with any club here in Ireland.
Yeah.
And he's like good enough to play in Japan, like, you know. So it just fellas like that. I'm like, why are you going to New Zealand to get these guys when we have them homegrown? Maybe I'm just too passionate about
No, you're
Irish
right. We
Irish
absolutely
things.
agree with you.
Look after
We
our
just
own, like.
we have to look after our own.
Yeah.
Like, so how do we bridge it all together? Like, how do we make it? How do we fit the pieces of the jigsaw together?
That's
And
true.
the fans are there for the clubs as well, as we see. Like, I mean, I don't know what the scene is like in Dublin. I would be familiar with it, but you will know, Greg, and you'll see like even the likes of the Shannons and the Gary Owens and the Young Munsters and stuff. They're still getting good crowds to matches, particularly the last couple of years because it did die off massively there for a while. They're back up again. There's guys coming out, like we're even getting crowds out to seconds and thirds games, mine first games, and guys coming out to games down in 2A and 2B and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So the crowd is there. So if you like bridge that gap between the provinces and the clubs, you'll get more people out to matches, you'll generate more revenue, you'll build up the AIL and make the AIL more of a semi-professional league than what
it
is
should
at the
be.
moment. And that's what it should be. Like,
Yeah,
you
it
need
should
to
be.
need to bring it up to a semi-professional level.
Yeah. Shout out to Shannon also beating Highfield, staying up in the AIL 1A division where you're supposed to be. Proud of you lads. But to kind of finish off this Ulster at Connacht game, there's rumours that Jack Harty might be his final season at Connacht. Yeah.
I feel they could have been cemented with the tears after. Quite emotional.
think?
Yeah, I got a vibe. I was like,
I don't know where he's off to. I haven't really heard much other than that. Like
No.
maybe some big contract in
Japan
France.
or something, or France or somewhere like
that beautiful boot.
He does have said like a guy like him, a kick in 10 like him will get a contract
Yeah,
quite easily in France or over in Japan.
Dead
And he'll
right.
get a few pounds out.
for sure.
And he deserves it. And a bit of sunshine on his skin. He
Yeah.
needs that vitamin D now.
He's internationally capped as well, which helps.
Internationally capped. Isn't it weird to think though that like he's playing so well for Connacht, they're into the semi of the URC and not even a sniff of the Irish team.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And he starts week in, week out at 10.
Yeah, but then like we'll go on to Leinster, but Harry put up his hand, I think, over the weekend. He was commanding. And I won't miss Mr. Crowley. I thought he was excellent
Yeah,
at 10.
true. There's just so many guys playing well at 10.
He was.
And what's
Cap
next?
him, cap him.
What do we
Again.
think, Lindsay, with your expertise? What's next for Ulster? Probably be down as a bad season for them now after losing their quarter final at home and out of the European Cup as well.
Yeah, and they're losing a lot of big names. Like
They
Jordy
are.
Murphy is gone.
I list them off. Rob
Sutherland
Little,
is gone.
Craig Gilroy, Duane Vermeulen, Rory Sutherland, Jordy Murphy, Sam Carter are all leaving.
They've got Kishoff coming in, though.
Kitchoff's coming in from the Stormers and Dave Ewers is coming in from Exeter, but that's not going to replace
get Rory Sutherland
10
once
players
over?
that are leaving.
I think you should
Can
take him.
Can we have him, please?
Where is he going now? Back?
I don't know. He hasn't signed for a club yet. Can we have him, please?
Put that in.
And any hookers you've got as well, whatever's got tight heads, the whole lot.
Well, I'd take Sham Stewart. I don't know why he started on the bench.
Yeah.
I do not know why
Good
he
player.
started on the bench. He's one of the top try scorers. He's been so consistent this season. He got their only try for Alan O'Connor off the maul try. I just don't get it. So take him.
Short, yeah.
Check him. It's Jordy Murphy's retiring, isn't he?
Yeah.
There's a good player. There's a guy like it, I think, didn't quite get the credit he deserved throughout his career.
Who?
Jordy Murphy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
There's a
no,
guy
he
that's
didn't.
done a lot. Like I know he had a couple of bad injuries and stuff, but
He
there
got
was a time
injured at the wrong time, yeah.
he did. He got a bad injury at the World Cup, wasn't it? Remember?
He did, yeah.
It's the 2019 World Cup. That's the recent one.
I can't remember
I think he
which
did. I
one.
remember
but-
him getting a bad injury at the World Cup, but hell of a player when he was at his pomp.
Yeah,
you
big
know what
time.
I mean? Really good player.
Yeah.
So Vermeulen, I'm assuming, will go to probably will keep playing because I can imagine he's going to be at the World Cup with South Africa, possibly. I think
He's
they'll
going to
bring
go
him.
home. Yeah, he's definitely going to
Bring
bring him.
but I think maybe will he sign for maybe one of the Bulls or the Stormers? Or the
I think he'll go home is what I think as well, yeah.
Someone like that. So you go. So yeah.
So
there's
what's
some
next
big
for Ulster
losses.
then, Lindsay?
I don't know. There's rumours, rumblings that there's been discontent in the camp like for a long time now, and you can see that there's. I just don't know how you have such a great group of players there, and they didn't really reach the heights they should have.
When it came to knockout rugby, when it
No.
mattered, they didn't show up.
No, they were
Yeah.
kind of petulant, moody, and to me, that's something that's happening behind the scenes and coming in onto the pitch. So I don't know. For someone who was tipped as being able to challenge Leinster this year, they just were like a balloon, with the last bit of air, and it's just,
We
fed it
basically
off.
said the same thing on the show last year as well. The
100%.
exact same thing happened. Ulster had a great domestic season, looked well, but then when push came to shove and it came to the big games, they just were nowhere to be seen.
So what do they need to do, do you think, to get the mental edge in the cup
I
knockout
think they need to
stages?
hire someone genuinely. Like, if that's the thing, like the rugby is exceptional. They can fix that. They're doing that. Like they've shown us that,
Yeah.
some consistent patches during the season. But like there's one side of the game that, some clubs are able to master, whether that's through the coach or whether they someone professionally in.
Yeah.
I think at this stage, if it's a pressure thing, and it came as a review for Ireland, and look where we are now. Like after the last World Cup, that was what the review said, that they couldn't handle the pressure psychologically. So that was impacting their play. And if that's something for Ulster to look at, and we could be totally wrong, but I think they need to look at getting someone fresh.
Like,
in.
I think you're exactly right, Lindsay. Their players are incredible. One of the best squads in Europe, like across the board. But their coach, maybe the coach is right, because the only thing I can put my finger on, because if they had someone like Rog in there, man managing, I think they'd have a system that would work for the incredible players they have. And would get them through that cup rugby stage. Maybe they just need another coach on top, like a different director of rugby or a consultant going in. I don't know.
I think it's either, as I said, you leave Dan McFarlane in, who seems to do some good on-field stuff.
Decent coach, obviously.
Yeah, but
like,
I'd say he could be old school. Like I said that to you on the show before. Like to me, he kind of was a bit hard publicly on them, and I'm not sure how I'd find that as a player. Like you're meant to be like this solid unit, and your coach, you never speak publicly, in my opinion, with that.
Yeah.
You keep your shit at home. So, if that's not work for him, then maybe it's time to part ways and get someone. Because at that stage, when you've such experienced players and such elite players, there's really very little. You need to get them happy and content and enjoying their rugby, and then just let them exactly just
Happy
express
players,
themselves.
That's it. Like it's actually, it seems so simple, but it's just hardest thing to get.
Because you're
It's a happy
managing
squad.
egos. You
Yeah.
imagine all these egos. Imagine that. I'm like, whoa, okay.
I do think Ulster is one of the best squads in Europe by far. Like it's more balanced than the Munster squad, I think.
Yeah.
Just Munster have somehow managed to pull like the heart and soul out of Munster again, and they're going for it, and their heart in their sleeve, and they're just going for these games, which is beautiful to see. And I think it started in South Africa and it's continued on now to this Glasgow game where they went over to Scottstown and they beat Glasgow 14-5.
Their only loss of the season at home. Congratulations, boys.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I was out at dinner and I had it on the phone and I kept cheering every time in the restaurant they scored. I just love to see the fight in them again. What did you make of it, Jason? It was beautiful, wasn't it? I know obviously there was a red card for Glasgow.
Yeah.
But
No,
like-
well, I suppose if you look at that, the red card came in between the two tries. But if you look at, like as you said, the fight, that first 20 minutes, like that defensive effort was incredible.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe
wanted it so
you're looking
bad.
at it, you're like, it's
Yeah.
0-0. How is it 0-0? We should be getting hammered here. We should be 2 tries down. And then all of a sudden, then they score that try out of nothing. Then obviously the red card came, which was absolutely
blatant.
stupid. Out of the Glasgow 10, what was his name
Jordan.
again?
Tom Jordan.
Just Stupid. I've no pity from them in that situation whatsoever. It was just stonewall red card and just silly, and you've nothing to gain from what you're doing there.
He went in so high to tackle Murray. Like, and Murray's a tall fella.
Murray's what, 6'3" or something?
Yeah.
Isn't he? Like, it's not like he's small. It's not like he was tackling Craig Casey.
Yeah,
Like, no offense, Craig.
Exactly. No, it's fair enough. Like, it was so silly, and that obviously was very pivotal. I think it was only about 15 minutes into the game.
And he had time to line him up. Like, he is a very tall guy.
He did, yeah.
It was a silly challenge.
That was
And he was
stupid.
the out half, which is a big person to lose. Like, you know, it's not like losing a winger or something.
No.
You know? So that was obviously pivotal. But then Munster capitalised on it straight away. So they'd already scored through Fekitoa.
Yep.
And then Frisch scored off that with beautiful little interplay between Daly, Crowley.
Daly was lovely.
Yeah.
Like he did really well there because he had to act quick, like, and he had to draw the man and put it back out again. It's beautiful interplay play, like, wasn't it?
It was gorgeous. And this is where I'm saying Crowley is very much that, like, because Johnny Sexton's different in how he brings right to the gain line and makes that decision last minute, make sure the defender's in. And Crowley did that twice for both tries.
He did actually, yeah.
He did, yeah.
He did, to be fair, yeah.
So he creates that gap, and this is where I'm like, yeah, the boy's doing well, do you know? And that's where the difference in your exceptional 10s, they are the playmakers. So he's opening up them gaps.
Your job is to create space.
100%. And he did that really well. Frisch did really well. I thought he was going to be held up by Steen. Was it Steen or the fullback? I thought I had him, and he just ripped the ball and put it down. So the centres played well. Fekitoa has come good for his...
Fekitoa coming good towards the end of the season. Oh, get the checkbook back out, lads. Keep him. He must have just obviously struggled at the start of the season with the move or whatever. There's always stuff going on behind the scenes, and he probably was trying to find his feet. And now he has, and we're losing him. What do you make of it, Jason?
Look, as I said, he did play well towards the end of the season, but he still is at times like suspect, particularly in defence and positioning and stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing Nankinvelli coming in. Like, there's a lot being heard about him. Then obviously we've got what's his name coming over, Sean O'Brien coming over from Exeter as well. So I think we're pretty okay.
Yeah, I think you're
sad
good
to
in
see
the
him go.
centres.
Like, I think he's
2 for 1.
Yeah,
in fairness,
that kind of way. Like, so I think Frisch is fine in form again because he did have a
He
couple
did
of quiet
a
games
little lull,
there,
yeah.
like, and he was good the weekend. But,
Yeah, Frisch and Fekitoa seem to be the nice 12-13 partnership there, which hopefully will get us through the semi-final. Lindsay, you're just biting your tongue. We will get on to that.
Go on, have your moments. Just have your moments here when I
Let's
listen.
talk about
To talk more
let's talk
about-
about all the players we're going to be missing next week, which is going to make a huge difference.
That is a problem. We have a big injury list. Peter Manley went off after 5 minutes. With
Did he
this.
break the arm?
I think he's struggling with a constant injured arm. I presume it's something to do with his shoulder, like labrum or something like that.
Oh,
Could be a
so
bicep
sore.
issue or something.
Could be
is it?
bicep
So
tendon.
soft.
It's something that like is just continuously going to keep coming at him. And I'd say he's just strapping himself up until the end of the season.
I'd say that fella is like held together with glue. They get the big stapler out and they're just like stapling them together.
And for him to go off, he must have been in a lot of pain.
A lot of pain.
Yeah. Who else? Calvin Nash got a knock to the head, which isn't great. RG Snyman got a knock to the head.
That fella's getting
That
knocked.
poor fella, man. He just can't get a string of games together.
Yeah, it's another bang. Like, that's 2 and 3 weeks. Like, so
2 and 3 weeks.
I don't
yeah.
think they're going to let him play this again if it's a second bang in 3 weeks. I don't think it'll be a clever move, to be honest with you.
No, it won't look
But
great
we Byrne
either.
back at least, so at least Byrne probably switch back into.
Yeah, but the
second
only
row.
thing is,
then
Mr.
you're
Byrne had a moment, didn't he? When he shot out of the line, I was like,
That was a bit-
that's so
yeah.
out of character.
It's a bit strange out of him, like, and especially, I mean, if you did catch that, like, you ain't none in that pitch, Tyke.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So close to
You know what I mean? I'm sorry. You're quick for a
Yeah.
hybrid back row
but-
forward to a second row, but you ain't running that pitch, so I don't know what he was doing there. But
Yeah, he
So
actually
close
just
to
fresh
line.
back in, like, so he obviously got a rush of blood to the head. But and Glasgow scored off that, didn't they?
they did, yeah. scored off that,
Stein
yeah.
is a Steen in the corner.
Yeah,
I
it
gave
was-
him a chance, but thankfully
and the 6-2 split on the bench paid off for Munster,
did. Certainly, yeah, it worked.
which is
obviously-
interesting to see.
Yeah, it is. It's some teams are going with it. Like, I mean, I think for Munster we do probably have better forwards and backs kind of a situation. So, and that was obviously the game plan got in. Like, and it probably did help the fact that they went down to 14 men. So I don't think you noticed the split so much.
Yeah.
Maybe if they weren't, they could have backfired. But
And
you're
they were
always
down-
taking a chance with that, because what if someone like one of your backs goes off injured like in the first 5 minutes in a pivotal position? That's the thing you have to worry about. Like, but you'd rather that than have an extra forward, because the backs can play 80 minutes and play longer if they have to. Whereas the forward, like.
And it was always going to be a dog, like it was always going to be a war.
Yeah,
do you know?
exactly. So
Was it Kendallen was listed as 23?
I think it was, yeah.
I was like, geez, that's weird. So I'd say
He's
it's
so
weird for him.
dynamic, he could probably play in the backline anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
There's someone that can come back in anyway. Like, if O'Mahony isn't there, like, Kendallen can start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be too worried.
I'm
I'd
sure-
I'd rather O'Mahony got himself right for the World Cup.
100%.
That's what I was
honest.
thinking. If this is an actual proper shoulder injury, and
Yeah.
like, there's a decision to be
surgery?
made there.
Surgery now,
Yeah,
I'd say, yeah.
to be ready for
I don't know,
September,
May.
because Ireland do need him. Like, you know, to
he's
be
very
in that
important.
squad. Even though Munster love him, Ireland comes first, really.
I do feel I need to give you more love, because if you list out all of the internationals that Hugh Jones, to
Lupatu,
Lupatu, who went down, he was class, and he helped us by getting his yellow card. Like, they were world class, like they were a top class team in Glasgow and at home. Like, so you did.
And at home is a big thing, yeah.
So you might have a chance this weekend, like a little one. Like,
Well, that's the thing now. We're going into the big game against Leinster in the Aviva. The Leinster lads are sleeping in the dressing room. They're there so often now. And to add to the injury list, Andrew Conway, Keith Earls, Paddy Patterson, Liam Coombs, Jack Daly, O'Mahony, Murray, Snyman, Nash all have a question mark against them.
What if Murray's gone now and Casey starts and Patterson's already out? Do we have another 9?
Do we pull
You
someone
can borrow
from
one
the
of ours.
academy? We're hoping. Well, Murray was only a HIA, so he'll be fine in 6 days.
We wouldn't know though, because he
As
didn't come
long
back
as
on. Is it a bad one or not? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's I wouldn't like. It might not be as well.
Well, hopefully he passes his protocols and stuff.
It was a nice
but
bang, like.
It was a nice
Yeah,
bang.
right.
yeah.
In,
I hope he's back.
uppercut.
It's going to be a big game, and Leinster don't really have any injuries. Johnny Sexton and James are the only two.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, you have a full squad to pick from. It's on in the Aviva. Can we do it, Jason? I don't want to look at Lindsay right
No,
now.
you can. Of course you can. But will we? Probably not.
I hate that negativity. Get out. That's not what we need to hear.
Security, please remove this man.
No, I give them a chance. If they play the way they played against Glasgow, and if Leinster get a red card in the first 10 minutes, we've got a
And
chance.
2 other yellow cards throughout the game.
Yeah. Look, I think Munster are due a big performance against Leinster, and maybe Leinster have one eye on the Champions Cup final.
That's what I'm clutching.
And
on.
that's what you're kind of
It's
looking
that
at.
Leinster,
They're pissed
yeah.
off that they lost against La Rochelle last year. They haven't won it in a while. They've got more URC medals than I've had. They actually haven't won URC, but they've won for the 4 years in a row. They won the Pro 14 before that. So they've won the league, the domestic league, plenty of times. The big one for them is Champions Cup. So maybe we might catch
They're
them
just
in that,
slightly
in that
looking at the
regard.
European Cup. And do
Yeah.
you think they'll come out guns blazing and have the full Leinster
Of course,
squad?
of course, they're full.
All the
lads, 'cause
top lads?
It will. It's semi-final.
Will they see it as like get these guys a good game in before playing the European final?
No.
course
Don't
it-
you
no.
undermine how much we don't like it. So don't think you're coming up to the Aviva like, oh, pity Munster, we're going to give them, we'll just put out a third string team.
What
What
No.
do you think? Are they going to go?
Yeah, we are going to go balls out and we're going to make sure we remind you who's top dog in this league.
Oh,
You heard it here first.
You're
Bomb.
thinking like Henshaw's in, Ringrose is in.
Well, we're not going to be stupid either now. Let's roll it back here. Right. We'll obviously have to manage some injuries. Will Ringrose play? Maybe. We'll see how fully fit he is. Henshaw, what's his return to play like? He might come off the bench.
Living Gattai as well, who's
He's
incredible.
been, yeah,
so
he's
does he?
had
Unbelievable
two
last
great
weeks.
games. So I don't think move him. No.
Yeah.
But Henshaw will need game time. McCarthy will be in. He needs game time. That little man monster is going to take Tygburn out of it. So there's going to be some nice matchups. I tell you, I was very impressed with Harry Byrne over the weekend. His crossfield kick. He tried it twice actually to Larmer. I felt he should have caught the first one. But his try was exceptional. And it was such a deft kick. Like it was like he was like a soccer player. He kind of actually just spun it out so it would bounce back in. And he hit the space rather than the player, which I thought was very clever.
The whole game, he was very calm, very chill, just pulling strings as if he was like a well-seasoned out half, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It was beautiful to see. Like it's so mad to think Harry and Ross are brothers and they're battling for the number 10 jersey.
There was a nice photo on their media, the two of them.
It's so, and they're both playing top of the, like it could go either way. I think Ross just has the edge a little bit because he's more international experience. He's a little bit older, but Harry's pushing.
Yeah, I thought he was a man who had his chest out and he was full of confidence now the weekend.
Who starts at 10 this weekend for you against Munster?
I think Ross will start. I think they will start now to get a bit of consistency with not only this week, hopefully a final if we make it by Munster.
Yeah, that's right.
And then obviously for La Rochelle. So I was impressed with their breakdown work. I was impressed with how aggressive they were against the Sharks, and they just smothered them really. Other than that moment, what's his name? Grant, is it the 9 first Sharks got in? He was very clever. He's had a good season actually for them, but other than that, I don't think we were threatened.
Yeah. I think that's what could catch us at Munster as well. I remember I wasn't on the show last week, the week before. We were looking at the run back of the URC, the fact that Munster had the best defence in the league, and looking at the stats there from the weekend, and you have the fact that the second half, they made 225 tackles. So Munster are very heavily reliant on their defence. Now, against a relentless Leinster team, there's only so much defence you can soak up, so much attack you can soak up, in defence. That if they rely solely on defence and just making 300 tackles, Leinster will break through.
Yeah, and I think
they're so big, so strong, so athletic.
Leinster are going to score tries. Like,
of course they will.
It's inevitable.
So you have to score tries. We can't do. We're not good at that. We're good at keeping tries out.
Yeah.
We're not very good at scoring points.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think you'll need to, but I think we've seen you play that open, expansive style, and I think you're just going to have to trust it and go toe to toe with Leinster. Because I think Leinster will try and get into kick for territory. I think they'll try and be smart with how they use the ball. If it's a wet day, it's going to suit you guys, and they won't want to get into an arm wrestle.
I think what needs to happen is Munster need to make it a dogfight and start pissing off the Leinster lads.
I think so.
Make it really personal and just turn it into a dogfight. Because Leinster, the nice fluid movement.
I think we're different now.
I think the opposite. I think you throw caution to the wind. And if you look at Ireland years ago, right, we used to always go, let's bring it down to a dogfight.
Yeah.
Now, in the last 18 months under Andy Farrell, they're averaging 3 tries a game. Every game we play, we score 3. Usually it's 4 or 5 tries. Look at the tries Ireland are scoring at the moment. When Leinster play, Leinster never score less than 4 tries. At least 3. So if you want to beat Leinster, you have to score 3 or 4 tries, or you won't. You won't bring it back down to dogfight and kick your penalties.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Don't be trying to score tries. We're going, let's go a nice starter play against a nice starter play.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Start annoying them at the rock and start make it a real like an Irish derby fight and start and make these Leinster lads emotional and do you know what I mean? Rather than just letting them flow in the Aviva Stadium and whipping balls out. You can't let Leinster get ahead of steam.
No, and I think what'll be key as well is Milne struggled now at the scrum the weekend, and that was a key area. I was like, oh God, we're weak here.
Yeah.
So depends who now they're going to go as tight head.
Is much better, to be honest.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So you might go for Archer, who might be good in the scrum, but he's not as fluid. He's not as mobile out in the field. So then you're goose if you have an Andrew Porter on. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not sure. It's squad selection, I think, will be key for you guys, and then it's availability.
Yeah. It's available with so many Munster injuries. So we will see this week how the boys patch up. I'd say the physio room in University of Limerick, Munster HQ, is busy this morning.
They're on the bat phone. Any spare physios or nines actually there?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Murray will be all right though, hopefully. But then moving on to that Leinster game. So they, as we knew was going to happen, they beat Sharks 35-5.
Yeah.
They played really well. Leinster made 9 changes to this starting 15. We mentioned Harry Byrne came in. Luke McGrath played very well. He captained at 9. Luke McGrath, he deserves to be in an Irish squad, does he? Or what do you think? There's just no space for him.
No, he definitely does.
Plays well every time he comes on.
Yeah, he's a very smart guy.
Yeah.
They'd obviously identified maybe a narrow around the ruck. They tried to hit that wide ball again, trying to get into space, So he's just a very smart player. He also plays the ref really well, So he'll see, again, discipline was, questionable over the weekend. So he's well able to play and manipulate, and that's a really key 9, especially on an inexperienced 10. Well, that was a nice partnership with Harry, to have experience there, and I would think that just added to his confidence. But Larmer looked like he picked up an injury on a high ball.
Larmer?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was back playing really well. I thought he was buzzing around, high energy, beating guys. It's nice to see him coming into form towards the end of the season. I think he might be putting his hand up for the Irish squad, in the next couple of months if he keeps going on this trajectory. A lot of lads have kind of come back, you think of Stockdale and Ballycoon and Lowry. All these guys are trying to show their hand to Andy Farrell. Larmer's one of those, and he actually has done it. Obviously, it's been an opportunity because James Lowe's been injured.
Yeah.
That he gets to start in the wing, but I think he's taken it.
He is. There was just the one moment where I just instead of just hands out, just take man and ball, just be that aggressive self and just really want to more. But overall, I think he did well. He got his try. He was lively. He was looking for work. So yeah, definitely.
You need that kind of energy, out in the wing for sure. And other guys that got starts that we hadn't seen in a while getting starts: Max Deegan, Michael Milner, Jason Jenkins. He's coming to form playing with Leinster, obviously. Ryan Baird, Scott Penny, Dave Carney played well in the wing, and Kieran Frawley at 12 was nice.
Frawley had an exceptional kick off a scrum, He kicked back in for territory, and it was an exceptional kick. So I think, again, he's a man who can he just has those touches of brilliance, and he can read the game really well. I thought Max Deegan as well. There was some lovely interplay for Deegan's try. Again, just basics done really well. Draw, give, some quick hand movement.
Incredible try,
the same for the kick through for Dave Carney for Gibson Park. I just think they just know each other so well to know where they're going to go. So, do you know what? I'd like to see an exciting game this weekend between the two teams.
But Doris was phenomenal. Well, kind of used to saying now that he's been phenomenal all season, but that second try that they scored was Doris scored the second try. He absolutely bulldoze his way through. You're kind of, the way he runs through, you're like, how did he even, like, because when you look at it, he's running from a distance, there's like 3 or 4 man line, and it's just boom, and then the hand goes up, and you're like, how in God's name did you get through there?
How did Pimpy get up after that? Because he
one
put his head across the tackle as well.
He had to.
It's a big boy coming at you there, you know.
See it?
It was some he played incredible the whole game with Doris, in fairness, but he has done week in, week out.
Yeah, but he makes breaks he shouldn't make. He makes great decisions around the ruck. Like, he's just a man always ducking and diving, looking to get involved.
He's managed to bulk up, not to like huge. I think he's about 96, maybe 97 kilos. So which wouldn't be maybe massive for an international, but he's much bigger than what he was.
Yeah.
But he hasn't lost any of his speed or his footwork. So you're adding like it's you know, he's a truck with a Ferrari engine essentially is what he is like. So do you know that's what makes him, because he's big and strong, but he's so bloody dynamic. Yeah. And you don't even know, like, is he going to crash through you, or is he going to use footwork at the last minute? Yeah. He can't do it if he wants to.
And
he's done that with Ireland, or do a little offload or throw a little pass. So
you can do it all.
Set yourself up for that when you just see this rampaging number 8 coming at you, or 6, wherever he's playing at the time.
Yeah, in fairness to Sharks, though, how good was Grant Williams?
I thought he's exceptional. And he's only been capped, I think, once by the box, so I'd like to see whether he's going to have some involvement.
So fast.
He was shit hot. Like,
He ran around Dave Carney like Dave Carney was Ty Furlong.
Yeah,
it was mad. And Dave Carney's fast.
Yeah.
So this guy, wow, incredible player, Grant Williams.
He scored a class try in
last
the
week,
Champions Cup as well, and he scored one against Munster as well, as far as I know. Unbelievable one in Champions Cup. He scored 12 or 13 tries this year or something like that.
Yeah, some speed for a scrum half, isn't he?
He's scrum half, yeah. And he got great platform off their scrum, so he was able to just really be that igniter feel for a lot of their good things.
Yeah.
But like, they were missing Etzebets and they were missing Khaleesi, so it'd be interesting to see with some of their big names back, would they have given us a better game? But I thought, as I said, we matched the aggression levels and then we were able to play.
They were saying about Khaleesi during the week as well. Like, he could be in a race to be fit for the World Cup.
He got surgery last week. Yeah,
so like that could be a big blow for the box. Like not just losing him, like his physicality and his presence, but
the leadership,
everything. Like, it's huge for the World Cup, especially we've got South Africa in our group. You know, them without Khaleesi, like it's a big one for them. So
it is. But that's their URC season over. They're knocked out by Leinster, which is a favour towards Connacht. So Connacht now guaranteed Champions Cup next year. Yeah, which is great. And you know what's unreal to see as well is, out of the 4 teams left in the URC semi-finals, 3 of them are Irish teams.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
That's class. That's class.
Obviously Leinster, Munster and then Connacht are playing Stormers. They're going away to Stormers, which is not an easy one. And they played in the weekend, and they have to get to Cape Town this week and play this weekend. That's a lot of travel.
And Stormers were good.
Yeah.
Libak was absolutely electric the weekend.
He was back to his flying form, wasn't he?
Flying self. He was exceptional. He was involved in so many things. He was a man who was like possessed. He was really enjoying the game against him. He just was brilliant.
Pretty sure he's top point scorer in the URC, but his kicking was back. He was flowing around the place. He was just playing on another level, wasn't he? He was smiling. You don't want to get the Stormers when he's playing like that.
No.
Yeah, and Willemse then out the back. Like, you forget about one of the best players in the world.
I know.
Willemse. They're incredible, yeah. I'm hoping now for Connacht's sake that they aren't on that level of...
I was thinking the same. I was like...
When you go down to Cape
Town. An All-Irish final would be class, wouldn't it? Like, if they got through. I mean, do we know how the final works? Remember last year there was a bit of an issue. Like, so if is it the highest ranked team, their country would get it if they're in the final. Yeah. So if Leinster get into the final, it would be on in South Africa. Or sorry, it would be on in Dublin. And then if Stormers get through and Munster get through, then it would be on in South Africa. So all that kind of stuff. So if you had like Leinster, Connacht, or Munster, Connacht, it would be on Ireland.
Yep.
That'd be cool. Imagine that. Then we'd have imagine that. That means Leinster could potentially have a URC and Champions Cup final.
They might as well. Why not?
In the
Just add another one.
No, I'm
so what are you talking about? You're a dub now.
They earned it.
Take that back.
You are
not
a dub.
I'll never be a dub.
Sure, wasn't he only telling us about the new house he was buying up here?
Limerick true and
Dalkey
true.
or somewhere, is that?
Dalkey.
You heard it here first. Love Island exclusive. Greg O'Shea buys and Dalkey.
You know, I already signed for Leinster when I was coming out of school.
Did you?
Yeah, I came up and I.
You're already telling us this now, 2 years in.
Gervin Dempsey was the academy manager at the time. Brought me in and I was looking around the place, and I nearly came up here to go to UCD and do B&L, business and law. I went to sub academy in Leinster, and just last minute I changed. I was like, no, I can't leave Munster, and I signed for Munster instead.
Dead right.
Isn't that mad?
I thank God, because I was feeling, I could feel the shoulders go up, but then he relaxed.
Jason
again.
was like looking at me.
Yeah.
Where's this story
How
going?
Bleed red.
I do bleed red. I love
I know. I
Munster.
was going to say, I think I do too.
He's not bleeding blue. You definitely bleed blue. 100%. You definitely bleed blue.
Oh yeah. One predictions from you guys. We have a Leinster lady and we have a Munster mug beside him. beside her.
You're so nice calling me a lady.
Munster
Bless you,
don't.
Patrick.
Munster versus Leinster this weekend in the Aviva Stadium. What's the score going to be, guys? If one of you, it is a podcast, lads, so if one of you want to speak, it'll be great.
I think we're going to win by 10 plus.
10 points plus.
Yeah. I was going to say 20, but I was being respectful.
10 plus.
10 plus.
Okay. Interesting. What do you think, Jason?
I
Use your rugby lad
honest
expertise.
to God, I think probably 10 plus Leinster as well, to be honest.
Oh
with you.
my God, man. You're actually breaking my
I have
heart.
to be.
like.
I mean, like, I have to be an honest journalist here. I can't just go, all I would love is if Munster won, but I have to go and go, I wish I'd just say, yeah, Munster are going to win by 20 points, but I am a realist.
Okay.
We are not going to win. And if we do, I'd be pleasantly surprised. But I'm going to go in with my glass half empty and a big miserable head in me and hoping that things will twist
Yeah.
in my favour. But I don't see it that way. But
Yeah.
I know. I think
could
it's
be a bonus if it
it's
is.
going to come down to if Munster have a decent selection this week and fellas get back from injury.
Oh, hold on. I think I'm going to yawn with all these excuses.
No,
Just
I
give us
think-
your prediction. will you?
I don't know. My heart is just like overpowering my head, and I just want Munster to win so badly. I think there's something left in Munster this season before it's over. Something big's going to happen. They've been building. They went down to South Africa,
Yeah.
beat Stormers, drew with the Sharks, came up. Everyone didn't think they were going to go over to Scottstown. I said it. I was like, Munster are going to win over in Scottstown.
Excuse
They
me,
did.
I also said it.
You also said it. I know a lot of the boys in the camp down in Munster, they're all in great form. They're flying it. I don't know.
I think they
That's-
fought the good fight, hon, right? They fought the good fight. But I think the gloves are off and they're waving the white flag.
I think Munster by one score scored in the 78th minute to win, and they hold on defensively, and they get the final whistle in the Munster 22.
I think the one
Just
score
like-
is a penalty,
just-
honestly.
just like the
Sorry.
Arts Good Old Boys against Turles in the Red Cup final, 79-minute try to win it and send Tom Clifford Park into raptures.
Some of the Irish School old boys are going to be upgraded, are they? To the
What?
Munster squad this weekend because you
Where
might
we
need
played
them.
against Turles, there's a couple of guys there I'd say that could do a job. You know?
Now, speaking of club rugby, we need to give a shout out to Terenure. We spoke about them earlier,
Yep.
who beat Clontarf in the AIL final in the Viva yesterday. 50 points to 25 or something like that.
50-24.
50-24. Great.
Clontarf topped the league their regular season, isn't it? Everyone's on
Clontarf were being, they've had a really good season. Were they not reigning champions?
Yeah, finished top, and then Munsters nearly beat them in the semi, but that wasn't a great game, but
No.
I think they were favourites into that game, right?
Yeah.
Clontarf, so
Two great teams,
Well,
two great squads, good expedition of Irish rugby, Irish
were
club
some
rugby.
great tries.
A lot of passion, unbelievable tries. The kicker from Terenure, Caelan Dooley. Wow. 8 penalties
30 points he had.
and 3 conversions.
Didn't he?
30 points
Yeah.
out of the 50.
that's nuts.
He's from Limerick as well. I'm not sure. I actually don't know who he is. Must be much younger than me. I think he's 23.
As
wow.
you know, all the good talent comes from Limerick and goes to
Yeah.
Dublin. Do you know that's what happens?
Incredible.
So they can't get talent here. Rugby players, presenters, journalists, they have to get them all. from Limerick, bring 'em
present
up on
company
trains and cars.
excluded.
It's where all the talent is. Look, it's not our fault.
You're not wrong,
It's
Jason.
not our fault, Greg.
It was beautiful to see. Well done, Terenure. And I was only chatting to one of the Terenure guys this morning on the way in, and they're still on it. They didn't stop celebrating.
They were inviting you out, were they?
I'm not joining those
They're
ads.
dead right.
Yeah.
They're dead
They're
right.
dead
we,
right.
we were out for 2.5 days. Like we only won the bloody Web Cup in the third second. AIL I'd be out for a week.
Honestly.
I'd be out for a week.
Book the time off
Yeah,
work. Like,
forget about it.
nah, they have to. The slog lads put in, you know, Jason, and you know,
Yeah.
Lindsay, obviously, the slog women and men put in for club rugby is just,
It's
I
all
don't know how
voluntary
people
work.
do it.
It's all voluntary. Like
It's
and
at
the
least-
people, like not just the players, the people behind the scenes, the coaches, the kitmen, the team managers, the fans, everyone. It's just, it's a community club game, and it's like, you know, I'm not trying to sound cliche or like poetic or anything, but it's where it's from the ground up. It's
Yeah,
where
it
it
is.
starts. That's grassroots rugby's. We wouldn't have our super international team and our Munsters and our Leinsters and our Connachts
Yeah.
and 3 out of the last 4 teams if it wasn't for the Terenures and the Clontarfs.
Of course. And they're so in love with the club. They turn up every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for themselves. But I even know one of the co-captains of Terenure, Stephen O'Neill, he would turn up on a Sunday and go coach the minis and stuff. Like they're
God,
just...
They really get back.
And
They're
they really
immersed in
get
the
back.
clubs.
And I just love to
So
see
many,
it.
there's so many of them across the country, like in every club, every club has them.
Hugely.
They deserve it. Yeah, it's brilliant to see. Unlucky Clontarf, but you have a few already, so share the love. And also Shannon staying in 1A. Hopefully they can stay there again next year. Lads,
Did you say Shannon got in 1A? Do you want to say that
staying
again?
in 1A? I love them. Shannon are my club, lads. I also bleed
It's actually
black
funny
and
to
blue.
see in Limerick. There's actually a new mural gone up just across from JJ Bowles pub, just on the river, and they just painted a big massive mural saying there is an oil, and it went in on Friday, I think. It's finished, and then they set up on Saturday. So poetic.
There is an oil. It's the Shannon song, lads. If no one knew that,
Give us a bar. Go on. Go on.
There is an oil.
There you go.
Does that know you're supposed to respond?
Well, I don't know. Go on, he can.
We'll sing it all after the show. Let's say.
If they win the weekend.
Yeah, you'll have to. That's your forfeit.
Yeah, I will sing the whole oil on the podcast if Munster beat Leinster next weekend.
Hear that?
Okay, guys, we're moving on. Do we want to chat about Greg McWilliams?
There's a press conference, I believe, during the week. We might know a bit more. It seems just very strange for me that there's all of a sudden there was a breaking news story last Sunday week, and then the RFU come out with a statement that they'll make a statement when they're ready, and they have confirmed that they've parted ways by mutual.
Greg McWilliams being the head coach of the Irish women's team.
Irish women's,
he decided to leave mutual
consent or agreement, yeah. So all the other coaches, John McKee now will step up into the head coach role. John has been there. He came in for Japan tour, and he's been in there since. Neil Briggs is there, Dennis Fogarty is there as scrum. So I believe they're all going to stay on. So it'll be interesting to see what the reason behind it is. It results? Is it just...
Yeah, well, it's just been a tough 18 months for the Irish women. You were involved at the start of it, Lindsay, like just trying to pull it all together and put the right things in place. Six Nations didn't go to plan. No. Now the head coach is stepping away. Like... I love the Irish team and everything they're doing, but it just seems like we're at rock bottom now and we need to build it up again. What is the first step?
Well, I would have, it's a bit strange to see not, whatever about results, it was always going to be that, I feel, because that's just the stage we were at, you know what I mean? We were only starting after the post-World Cup. Other teams got to play in it. So we never knew where we were going to be until the first round. And look, when you go into a tournament like that, you can't make changes. You can't make these, radical changes week in, week out. That's what we were saying. It had to be incremental to see where there were improvements. Yeah. Scrum was exceptional. Some of our dominant tackles were good. We had some players stood out. But what was sad for me, people were picking teams the week and it was very few. If you got one Irish player in, and that's my heart broke for the girls. You know what I mean? Because they're working hard, and you just
it's not a question of work ethic at all.
No, it's just so far behind.
It's the foundations.
Is he been fed up though? Do you think? Is he not being fed up almost like a sacrificial lamb? Because it's a lot more going on. There's a lot more issues in women's rugby in Ireland at the moment than just the head coach and just this most recent Six Nations. Because he was involved before in Irish women's teams, successful Irish women's teams. So we know he's a good coach. So I know, but he's just been thrown up as in, okay, they did bad, so let's just sack him and look like we're making a change, making a difference. We're sacking the head coach, we're bringing someone else in. There's a lot more deeper than just sacking your head coach. There's more problems that they need to sort to support the women by not just getting them a new fancy coach.
100%. We can't just here's our list. Oh, and we rip the paper up and we smash it and we start again. We just can't keep doing that because that's what historically we've been doing.
It's deeper than that,
hugely. And that's what I mean. It just mind boggles, because why not keep Greg in for the WXV now? Where we've made a decision. We're in tier 3. I would think that could be here. That location is still to be confirmed. Nice. But there needs to be consistency there, and you need to build on what's there. So there has been no consistency really throughout. It's just these periodic times where it's we'll build for a tournament, we have a coach, that didn't work out, we'll sack and we'll start again, and nearly then there's a hit refresh with even players, losing players. We need to consistently keep the players we have, and we need to get the coach in. So look, hopefully with the management that are staying there'll be that consistency there, and the players can just build on the good stuff and work and have the work-ons. I think what's good is there's a clear path of what we need to do. There's a clear map now, exactly where we are, what areas we need improvement on, and I think that's key now to us going forward. It will be, though, the key will be the decisions and all the big people who make those decisions going forward, how we piece them all together. Yeah,
it's baby steps, bit by bit. I would love to see the RFU put their money where their mouth is and put in a big coach to just manage the whole thing. And maybe a director of rugby as well, because they know how to do it. The men's team is the best team in the world. The men's sevens team is doing really well. The women's sevens team is doing really well. And the Irish 20s are doing incredible. Grand Slam
18s
win.
had a great,
18. So the systems are there. They know how to do it. So just put it into the women's team, I think.
Yeah, but I think that's the plan, no knee jerk. No knee jerk. Just take your time, take a deep breath. Even let the WXV happen. I assume we're still locked in for that for 2 years as well. Everyone is, but
2 years,
yeah. So let's just do it.
So we'll see what it is. Yeah, Greg McWilliams, best of luck and wherever you're off to next. Jason, during the week you were chatting to two of the biggest stars in world rugby, Hall of Famers in my opinion. Johnny Sexton and Paul O'Connell were down at the International Rugby Experience, and this is what they had to say.
So, Johnny, just to mark the kind of occasion, the fact that it's international rugby experience, just some quick fire questions. So, for you, best rugby player of all time?
Oh, Dan Carter, Richie McCaw, one of those two.
Best player you've ever played against?
Dan Carter.
Okay, favourite stadium to play in?
Apart from the Aviva,
Apart from the Aviva, yeah.
the Principality, or the Millennium, as many would know
Yeah.
it.
Favourite team to play against? Tough one.
Well, like for Leinster, I think the Munster games are always very special. For Ireland, every game for Ireland is special, but I think England in the Aviva is always the most special game to play.
The best rugby player in the world right now?
Well, Josh is World Player of the Year, but I think Dupont, he could go on and be the best player of all time. He's that good.
The hardest tackler you've ever faced?
McCaw Dusatour.
Your most cherished jersey swap? I'm sure you have a few of them.
I'd say Bowden Barrett, because I never had a New Zealand one before. I was always worried about going in to swap with them, and then he came into us in Chicago and swapped, and so it's probably very special to the first All Blacks one I got.
Brilliant, brilliant. The one player you wish you could have played alongside, but you didn't get a chance to?
Richie McCaw.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Final one then, your favourite moment in rugby so far, I'm going to say.
Favourite moment in rugby? Winning, I'd say a few weeks ago, winning the Grand Slam in the Aviva.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Thanks, Bill, Johnny. Appreciate it.
It's a tricky enough question because I think the best player in the world at the moment is Anton Dupont, and I think he's going to be the best rugby player of all time. He's certainly the best rugby player I've ever seen. So even though he's relatively early in his career, I got to go for Anton Dupont. Well, in my position, there's probably two of them. Victor Matfield in the second row, it's like he could read your mind at the line out, but Fabian Pelouse as well was one of my favourite players. For such a tall man, he had great height and everything he did, whether it was tackle, ball carry, clean out rucks, so both second row forwards. So I'll go for Victor Matfield and Fabian Pelouse. Millennium Stadium, it's in the middle of the city, crowd are generally drunk, which adds to the atmosphere. Roof is closed, which adds to the atmosphere. It's a great stadium. Any English team? England or any English team? I'll go for Jamie Cudmore. Jamie Cudmore tackled me in the Claremont game over there, and took me a while to recover from it. He tackled me with his fist as well, but when he wasn't using his fist, he was good with his shoulders. I have Martin Williams' jersey. I think it's we beat Wales, and I think it was the jersey. I shouldn't have kept it actually. I think he became Wales' most capped forward that day. I think it was his 95th cap. So, and I loved him as a player. Brilliant player, but great fun off the field as well. I went on a Lions tour with him. Became very friendly with him, so I was delighted to get a hold of his jersey. Favourite moment in rugby, very hard to pick. It's very hard to pick. Very, very. I mean, all my favourite moments were generally in the change room afterwards with the lads. I remember playing Perpignan away one year with Munster. Mick Galway was retired a good while. He came down as a mentor, and the whole thing of the mentor process, which we had in Munster at the time, was to help players understand what it meant to be a Munster player, and to talk to players. It was quite a serious role. Other players had done it before him. Keith Wood, Killian Keane, John Kelly, they'd taken it very serious. And Golov came down and drank wine for the 4 days he was with us. But he sat at the table with the players, and everyone wanted to sit at his table. And it was just buckets of laughter for the whole weekend from his table. And we went on, played Perpignan, a big European Cup game, played out of our skins, beat him, got a bonus point, and just having him there, he wasn't trying to be anything he wasn't. And it was down in France as well, which I love playing in, so that was a great experience, and that's one of my favourite rugby memories.
Interesting to see the questions you asked there and the answers you got back.
Yeah.
3 great rugby minds, or 2 great rugby minds. You spoke to a lot of people.
I spoke to a lot of them, but obviously Paul and Johnny are the ones we're looking at. But
yeah.
Paul was interesting when you asked him the question. You're like, who do you think is? Because I had a few different questions. One was, who do you think is the best player in the world right now, or who's the best player in the world of all time? And he's like, well, it's a tough one because the best player in the world right now is Antoine Dupont, and the best player I think of all time will be Antoine Dupont. Was his answer. So he said he's certainly the greatest rugby player he's ever seen. And this is coming from Paul O'Connell, who has been a part of some of the best Munster teams we've ever seen, the best Irish teams, captain the British and Irish Lions, has played of what has been around him. I mean, he's also now part of the coaching ticket of the number one team in the world. It doesn't, as you said, it doesn't get much bigger than Paul O'Connell, the guys he's played with and seen, and a guy who's understands rugby like Paul O'Connell. For him to say that about DuPont, it's quite phenomenal, really, like, isn't it? But it's hard to disagree with him at the same time from what we've seen so far.
Anton DuPont
he's still
across
only,
the board.
26, is he?
Oh, he's unbelievable.
You know, he's still only, like, the frightening thing is DuPont hasn't hit his prime yet.
No.
He's got to get better.
Yeah.
Let's take that in for a second.
Who's excited about the World Cup except when he plays Orange? No.
Yeah, for such a compliment from Johnny Sexton and Paul O'Connell to say him. Like, I
Especially
hope
Johnny
he saw
Sexton.
the clip.
He actually liked the clip on Rugby Joe, so he saw it.
Did he?
He saw it and liked the clip on Rugby Joe, because I saw it yesterday and I was looking at it, I was like, it's great to see he saw it.
No way. Did you tag him in it?
No.
So you just randomly saw it.
Came across it. Obviously,
I'm
someone
so
must have pointed it out to
excited.
him.
That's great.
amazing.
He liked it,
Anton
yeah, so-
DuPont's looking at your page. Well done.
Why not?
Good work, Jason. What about you, Lindsay? You're up there with the Johnny Sextons and Paul O'Connells, but in the women's side of things.
I don't know what you're on this morning, but that is
Best.
far from.
Best player, we'll go with male player in rugby right now for you.
I'm going to go with Doris. I think he reminded us the
In
weekend.
the world.
Yeah.
I love that. Keep it homegrown.
To the Irish.
Yep.
Jason.
Technically, it is Josh Van der Fleer, but I think I'm going to have to give it to DuPont. I think I put them kind of the middle. I think Van der Fleer and DuPont are the best, but I think DuPont is he's so bloody good, isn't he?
Well, it's hard not to. Like, obviously, it goes without saying. I picked DuPont all through this show, by the way, during the year.
Yeah.
Just to put you out there. But
Yeah.
I still think, like, no one's going to touch him. Like, no one will touch him. But I think there's a couple, like, Ireland are up there as number one. I think it would be wrong of us not to include one. So I'll take
We
that.
said he had a quiet Six Nations and he got player of the championship.
Yeah.
But I
And he
was
did.
like, by watching it by his standards, like the first couple of games, he was quiet, like
Yeah.
by his standards. But then he just turns it on and just goes, "Oh, sorry, God mode.
Yeah.
See you later."
He's incredible. And what about best player of all time?
God, I found that one hard.
It's tough.
Very tough. Like, I was going through, like, all my files in my filing cabinet in my brain. I was like, yeah, no. And someone else will come in. Greatest player of all time. I don't know. I'm at a loss now, to be honest. Who are you going with?
Richie McCaw, I think. To be honest, I
Oh,
think,
yeah,
I think
good
it's
one.
very hard to look past Richie McCaw, just what he's done, what he's achieved, how long he did it for, the level he did it at.
Yeah.
With the Crusaders and with the All Blacks. I mean, Richie's just, I don't think we'll ever see a better seven to get to, like that, not just playing ability, but also leadership and just everything. He's a god among men, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Brian
I
Habana.
agree.
I'll go with Brian.
Brian Habana, best player of all time.
One of them. Yeah, he's up there.
That's a good one, yeah. I can't see past Dan Carter.
I had him, and then I was like, he's so injury riddled. That's, you know,
Yeah.
he just missed so much, is why I
No,
didn't go with him.
He
Dan is
just
a good one
turned
as well.
up
He is,
every
yeah.
time. And like when he's playing, he's just the best player on the pitch. And I just always think back to that 2005 Lions tour when he just ran the show.
That second test is, to this day, probably the most complete performance by a rugby player in a single 80 minutes in history.
Ridiculous, like.
It's ridiculous. I think he scored something like 38 points or something in that game.
And he was just so cool as well, and just left boot as well. It was just kind of cool. Do you know what I mean? And Dan Carter, I can't see past him. And then I think in a couple of years it will be Anton Dupont. But he's just too young now. You can't be giving him best player of all time. He's too young.
You can. He held up our
He wins
mark.
the World Cup in September. All right, fair.
She's your
of all
harsh
time.
this morning.
Yeah.
Another one, John Lomu could be another one.
Yeah.
Man Monster.
Johnny Wilkinson, I suppose you have to give
Yeah,
him.
there's so many.
There
There's
is,
so
there
many.
is.
That's what I mean, you're kind of
Brian
like-
O'Driscoll
Brian
in that
O'Driscoll,
conversation in that I go O'Driscoll's in
Yeah.
that top five, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so
I suppose Johnny Sexton didn't get a shout out for any of us. For best player ever.
not yet.
Not yet.
If he wins the World Cup in September,
There
He's
you
there.
he's
go.
in that conversation.
That's true. That's true.
When he wins the World Cup.
Thank you. Correction.
Nice, good stuff. All right, guys, it's time for our Never Stop Competing moment of the week. And Pat found this hilarious clip from a guy called Lachlan Lonergan, who plays for the Brumbies, who got his top ripped off and he carried on with the ball inside his jersey. It's hilarious.
He has to be Irish with a name like that now. Lachlan Lonergan. Like, come on,
So
Will.
funny.
Well, he also did
sounds
it-
like a fella from Connemara or something like that.
Yeah. I went down here mining.
It's brilliant. He like fake dummies and then carries the ball away in his jersey. Like, it's brilliant stuff.
gas.
Fair play to Lachlan. So that's our Never Stop Competing moment of the week. Well done, fella. And that's it for this week.
Yep.
Great show. Really enjoyed it. This weekend is massive.
Drum roll,
Yeah,
please.
Munster versus Leinster in the Aviva Stadium. See the way I keep putting Munster first there.
Munster,
Yeah.
House
Home
of Rugby
team
WhatsApp
first.
group will be hopping.
I was just going to say, we're going to just there'll be like radio
awesome.
silence as it goes.
And then Stormers and Connacht down in Cape Town, and best of luck to the Connacht guys.
Absolutely, we're rooting for you.
Yeah, for sure. We'll be back next week, guys, to talk about all of that, hopefully with a Munster win.
Do we have a forfeit, by the way, for next week's show if Leinster win? And if Munster win? Come on.
If Munster win, I'm singing the oil.
That's it.
If Leinster
You're not going to
win,
wear a
I'm not
Leinster
coming
jersey? I'm going to bring a Leinster jersey for you.
You can wear your Leinster jersey next week after you lose. All right. Thanks so much, guys, and thank you for listening. And of course, a big thank you to Bank of Ireland, our sponsors and proud supporters of the 4 Irish provinces. We'll catch you next week.
Joe presents House of Rugby, together with Bank of Ireland, proud supporter of the 4 Irish provinces.